Hi and welcome to this demonstration of the Grundig TK19 reel-to-reel recorder. This machine was launched by Grundig, excuse me, I believe in the mid-1960s, and was one of a series of machines which had very similar stylings. The first machine in that series was called the TK14. The TK19 looks very similar, but adds automatic level control during the recording, and possibly trick recording, which I'm not sure if that came with this model or not. But the automatic legend here on the front panel indicates that it has automatic level control. That's what it means. It doesn't have anything to do with being remote controlled or being to operate on its own or anything like that. This particular style of a machine takes a maximum reel size of 6 inches. That was fairly common among low-end consumer machines of the time, and of course one reason is that with smaller reels you get a smaller machine, which then becomes cheaper, it becomes lighter, it's easier to put in your home, you can use simpler mechanical components, cheaper mechanical components, motor, etc. like that. But it does have the drawback that you can't interchange tapes with people who have the more common 7-inch reels as their maximum, unless you decide to use the 6-inch reels as your standard. I believe this was not just a technical reason for this, there was also a marketing reason. Marketing, I think, was geared towards guiding the lower end of the market to buy these machines, while also avoiding or causing high-end users to avoid buying these simple machines. And gear them towards the more expensive machines with 7-inch reels and more features. And that way separating the market into sort of a clearly defined low and high end. That's pure speculation on my part. What we'll do with this machine is go through the functionality of it very briefly. I should mention beforehand that the recording function on this particular machine is broken. It does not record at all. Doesn't even erase, which indicates that there's something wrong in the high-frequency oscillator bias circuitry. But we can definitely demonstrate playback and wind, so we'll do that. First we'll switch the machine on using the tone control, unusually enough. And that causes the motor to spin up, and after a few seconds we'll get the magic eye indicator come on, which is an EM84 tube. Incidentally, the whole machine is based on tubes. There are a number of tubes in it, including one tube for the automatic level control. And like I said, this particular style is very characteristic with the 3 buttons on the right, 3 buttons on the left. What we will do here is thread a reel of tape and play it through so we can demonstrate the various functions. Starting at the very right, we have fast wind. This winds the tape forward. There's a stop button here which stops the tape. Going over to the other side, this button at the far left rewinds the tape. Slightly sluggish on this particular machine. I believe that the rubber on one of the rubber on the left-hand reel table is has gone slightly hard with age. To play back a tape, we press the start button. We can control the volume with the volume control here, and this is a tone control. Turning this up reduces the treble, turning it down restores the treble to its normal setting. Over here is a pause button, which confusingly enough is also marked stop. This machine was designed for the Swedish market, therefore all the legends are in Swedish. And the final button is called micro, which when pressed, I believe, selects the microphone input. Again, we can't demonstrate this as the as the recording function does not work. In order to record on the tape, you press this red button and then the start button. There's also a trick functionality whereby you, during playback, turn this red button to the right and press it down. And if we had a microphone and the recording function would work, we could speak into the microphone and record over the existing recording without erasing it, thereby creating an overdub of a very simple kind, because we can't listen to what's being said on the tape, so it's very difficult to synchronize it. But it does create a type of overdub function that would not otherwise be possible on a simple machine like this. Finally, we have a white button here, which I believe either enables or disables the automatic level control. I'm not sure which. At any rate, it disengages as soon as you press stop, just like the record button does. And finally, there's a tape counter here on the left, which counts the number, doesn't actually count the number of revolutions, but it's connected to the left-hand reel, so it essentially measures the number of revolutions that the left-hand reel does. It's for finding places on the tape. Winding the tape back, there is an automatic end-stop function, which does not always work. This time it did. When a metal foil on the tape passes by the left-hand tape guide, it automatically pulls a solenoid, or a solenoid pulls the stop button, and the machine stops. Finally, a little touch on a machine like this. There's a little groove here on the top. That's when you're splicing tape. This groove, into this groove, you can fit a length of tape. If you had to splice two ends of tape, you could feed them against each other, put a piece of splicing tape over. So, and essentially, you've got your inbuilt splicing block, which is a nice touch on a machine like this. It doesn't cost anything once the machine has been designed, because it's just a groove in the plastic, but it can be tremendously useful if you don't want to invest in a separate splicing block. Okay, there we have it, the TK19 tape recorder, reel-to-reel tape recorder from the early 60s. And finally, I should mention that this is a 2-track machine, and also it is monophonic. It's mono, no stereo on this machine whatsoever. As I said, it was intended for home use, and is therefore quite simple in design. Okay, thank you for watching, and goodbye.